Hey everybody, 8-Bit Josh here, and welcome back to Wildlife World. And today we're doing something a little different. If you probably obviously saw the thumbnail. We're actually making a farm in Wildlife World, and I thought it would be kind of cool and also like really different for the game. And part of my reasoning for wanting to do a farm is, Planet Zoo is all about not only education for the animals, but it's also about, there's a lot of, it's very much about education too, right? And like conservation and all that stuff. So I thought, all right, well, we have our zoo with lots of animals and all of our animals need to be fed. So where does that food come from? And I thought, well, what if Wildlife World had an on-premises farm? And so that's kind of what we're doing here. You can see we made like a little red barn. I'm making a couple silos, and this is actually the roof pieces didn't really fit the silo look, so I decided to make my own custom roof for the silos, which I think actually turned out really awesome. They're just stone arch pieces, and I just use the sort of, the whatever method you want to call it, where you just kind of spin them around and you make like a little dome shape. So they're just like two little domes on top of the silos there. And so here is our first little plot of farmland, I guess you will. And I use the paths as more of a outline of where like the actual farming is gonna be. So there aren't actual like vegetables other than like scenery pieces. There's like fruit and stuff like that, but so I just used some plants that I kind of thought sort of resembled, I don't know, stuff you'd see growing in a farm, like lettuce, or I actually did place the watermelons in the plot next to it. So because if you have the food grade quality up to 3 on some of your habitats, you'll see that there's like watermelon pieces and stuff mixed in. But anyway, so I thought, it'd be really cool to make it seem like, Wildlife World, they get all of their food for their animals on site, right? Like they grow it on site, and obviously animals, they have to poo. So maybe we also compost that, and then we use it to fertilize the farm, and then the farm grows, all the food for our animals, and it's just this big, circle of conservation and all that stuff. And I don't know, I thought it was really different. I haven't seen anybody do this in Planet Zoo. Not saying nobody else has, I just personally haven't seen it, and I just thought it'd be really cool, especially because going for like sort of a realistic look and feel with our zoo, I thought it seemed a very realistic thing to do, to have an on-site farm that grows all of the food that they feed to the animals. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. This area, we're like kind of right behind the African area, kind of in between the safari habitat and the hippo habitat, which we'll see when we get into the real-time gameplay, kind of give you the lowdown there. We also have a couple other new things in the zoo since the last episode, so we'll take a look at that as well. And then here I'm just building like a big old fence that kind of goes around the farm. I only did the 2 little kind of like little growing areas. I don't really know what you call that, like little farm plot or whatever. We may do more, like maybe expand it, a little bit more, and do maybe some like almost like an orchard kind of thing. I think that would be pretty cool. Maybe they grow some apples and things that they also feed to the animals. And then here, this little staff building and the 2 facility buildings, they've actually been here for a long time, and I decided to keep them because we actually do need the power and the water filter there. They're really needed in that part. And then the staff room was also just because it's actually mostly just for the mechanics who kind of maintain this area. But I figured, all right, well, if we're doing the farm right here, let's go ahead and just theme the staff buildings there, because that's something we do in this series anyway. And so it was kind of just fitting to kind of include it all with the farm as well. You'll see here in a second, I actually do make like a little entrance area, and I named the farm originally as of in this time lapse, Jungle Jim's farm. If you may be familiar with Jungle Jim. He's sort of our mascot for the series. I kind of call him he's like the owner, if you will, of the zoo. But I actually renamed it, and it's just called Wildlife World Farms. And I thought that just seemed a lot more appropriate. But that pretty much does it for the time lapse. So let's go ahead and jump into the real-time gameplay and take a look at all the new details and everything. Okay, and here we are, and here is our completed farm, or I should say completed up for now. Like I said during the time lapse, we may want to expand it, maybe have some more like little farming plots or whatever. But yeah, so this is Wildlife World Farms, and like I said, I did rename it, so there you go, Wildlife World Farms. And I think it turned out pretty cool. It's like, I feel like it's something you don't really see in this game. I don't think I've seen anybody do a farm. If that's not the case, please let me know. But I also wanted to make it look like it's actually kind of being worked in, right? So I added like these Jeeps here, and then like this guy, he's kind of like, whoever was here was like getting some pineapple together. He's got some in the back of his Jeep there. Here, like I said, we did the all the watermelons, which is just a scenery piece, and it was just kind of a coincidence that this Jeep was green. I don't know, maybe that's the watermelon Jeep. So we had someone here, their crates are empty, so they're getting ready to collect a bunch of watermelon. And then we have our big old red barn over here, which, we could do some more stuff inside. I gave it like little stable looking things, but, I don't know if this barn would be for animals, or maybe it's just like a storage barn. I don't know. We could add some more stuff in here. Maybe on this side, we could actually maybe put some shelves in here, and then do a bunch of like the little crates and things like that, make it look like they're kind of storing them there. Another thing I thought about we could do, because I mentioned, about composting all the animal poo that builds up in the zoo, is we could maybe make like a little compost pile, which could really just be done with like a simple, terrain tool. Maybe just make like something like this. We could do like the soil heavy. We'll just give it a poo look, and it's like our little compost pile here. Maybe some of the light dirt around here, kind of going around the edge. Would be awesome if we had like a little pitchfork or something. We could like have it sticking right in there. But there, so we've got like a little compost pile. But yeah, so Planet Zoo is all about education, conservation education, and things like that. And I think the idea of sustainability also really plays in to both of those things, and especially with, like I said, like large zoos have to feed their animals. So where do they get their food from? Wildlife World here, we get it from our on-site farm. And then, like I said, the idea would be, they take all of the animal poo, they compost it, they turn it into fertilizer, they use it to fertilize the vegetables and fruits that they grow, that they then feed back to the animals. So sustainability, education, conservation, that's what it's all about. Hopefully you guys think this is kind of cool. I think it's pretty neat. We could definitely expand it if we wanted to go even bigger with the zoo, or bigger with the farm. The other reason I kind of put it here is because we have our education center here, and you know, this is all about, you know, we have all the conservation boards here, so the guests can come in, they can learn about all of that stuff, and then if they want to, they can come back here and they get a full view of the farm, and they can see firsthand that yes, Wildlife World does practice conservation and sustainability, and we get all of our food for our animals on site. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I do have to say, really happy with how the silos came out. I actually want to, I think we should turn this one because I put like little pipes on the side. But yeah, so like the roof pieces here, like I said, the curved roof pieces in the game, they're a little too pointy, and they didn't really look like silo roofs. Like I said, these are stone arch pieces. So if we take a look at one here, so I can kind of lift it up, and there you can see just a single little arch piece. Basically, to build this, all I did was take a piece there, copy it. So then there you go, you have like a completed arch, and then you would just copy or take each piece, select each one, then you would just copy them, rotate, and then you would just do that until you have a completed basically dome. That's what these are. They're little mini domes. So that's how you can also, there's a quick tutorial for you. That's also how you can make domes in Planet Zoo, also Planet Coaster. That's the same method I used to make our elephant dome over here. So just making, you know, kind of one piece, copying it, rotating it, and just completing that until you have a completed dome. The other new thing we have, which is also I use that same method, the little dome creation method, is we added like a little round building here with, we have a hot dog squad in here, we have a gulpy soda, and then a toilet block. But this was on our most recent stream as of the time that I'm recording this episode. But I thought it was pretty cool. We're right in front of the hippo habitat. I wanted to do something along this because I wasn't really sure what to do here, and it was just very blank and it needed something, so I thought this fit in here pretty well. And then we have a nice little overlook here, like a little deck. People can, once they get their hot dog and their drink, they can come sit out here. They can sit out and overlook the over the lake and everything here. And I think that's kind of cool. It's very serene and very relaxing. I was like, oh, we need to put something here because this area is very blank. But I think I'm gonna leave that as is. That's why I decided to use a habitat barrier as a fence here, so this way guests don't wander off the path. But I think it actually works being kind of empty because we have so much detail everywhere else, especially like this side in front of the hippo habitat. And then that just leaves this spot, which I was talking about this on the stream. Like, I don't really know what to do here. It's a little small for a habitat. We could do another building of some kind, and then a viewer actually suggested we do a implied habitat. So if you're not familiar with that, an implied habitat would be basically designing and building a habitat for an animal that doesn't exist in the game yet. So that's something we could mull around. If you guys have any ideas or thoughts on that, if you have an animal in mind. I know Planet Zoo, we're in the African area of our zoo, and Planet Zoo already has more African animals than any other location in the world. But if you guys have any ideas as far as maybe I'm sure there are still African animals that aren't represented in the game yet. So maybe we could do something like that, you know, a fake habitat, if you will. Or if not, we can just leave it open. We could do another like little shop thing. I don't know. Possibilities are endless, but definitely give me your guys' thoughts and suggestions on that. I don't think the only other new thing is this little area here. So we built a retaining wall going around the water here, and it goes right up along the path. I think it turned out really cool. We added some lights to it, which also looks really, really cool at nighttime. It just looks really serene in my opinion. I love the lights on the bottom just going all the way around. And I just think I think it looks really nice that way. It's just it fits a lot better. I like the little island we did here, and just really kind of lots of scenery, nothing, you know, nothing to do, nothing fancy in there, just a bunch of trees and stuff. And I think that's pretty much it. That's all that's new since the last episode. The last episode we did the African elephant habitat here, which is still going strong. I did add the what I like to call the elephant car wash here, just because this little spot here, like the elephants didn't have a reason to go over here. Like if there's no food or enrichment items, they won't go over there. So I added this, and it actually gets used. The elephants do come over here and use it, which is great. I also I extended the invisible barrier wall, so that's what we're using in this trench here. Originally we had the concrete wall here, but I decided to continue the trench around this way because I just think it looks better than having like a big concrete wall. We also added the custom fence or railing around here, as well as the donation bins and the education boards. So this definitely, it's coming along. It's looking really good. I'm happy with it, and hopefully you guys are happy with it. Hopefully you like our little dome shop here, and hopefully you guys really like the farm. Like I said, it's all about education, conservation, and sustainability. So there you go, Wildlife World Farms. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna leave this episode here, so be sure to leave your comments, suggestions, and feedback down below. I am 8-Bit Josh, and thanks for watching. See ya.